right, guys, here we go. Mike Gonsalves here from the Wellness Bucket. Big time excited to be speaking with Krista Stryker today, who's the founder of the 12-Minute Athlete. And it's a website that provides effective, high-intensity interval training, HIIT workouts. I think we know it better as HIIT workouts for athletes of all ages, and provides motivation. It's just, I've been following her for a while. Her work is awesome. I thought I was committed to working out. She is like the epitome of commitment. So anyways, I'm big time excited to have her join us because I want to dive into her knowledge when it comes to these HIIT workouts that are quick, effective. You can do them anywhere. And I just think it's such a critical component when we talk about healthy mind, healthy body, healthy business. So I thought this would be an awesome interview, Krista. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And if I keep looking now, I got some notes. Like I want to ask you like a million things, but I'm just going to kind of keep it high level here. First things first, like what are, like I know what they are, but someone who doesn't know, like what are these HIIT workouts I keep hearing about? What are they?
Yeah, so okay, HIIT stands for high intensity interval training, and basically it's an advanced style of interval training where you alternate periods of short, super intense exercise with less intense recovery periods. Basically, this means you'll be working super hard for a short amount of time. Then you'll be resting, then you'll be working hard again. So an entire HIIT session really should only last for, anywhere from 4 to 15 minutes. Much more than that, you're not really doing HIIT anymore, just because it's like sprinting for that amount of time. So it's really short, but yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, no question. Well, it almost takes the objection that I don't have time out of the equation. I mean, who doesn't have 4 to 15 minutes, right?
Right.
Just wanted to throw that out there. So let me ask you this, and I'm going to play devil's advocate. I know there's benefit there. You know it, obviously. Someone who says, listen, man, 4 minutes, come on, 10 minutes, because there's that idea, there's that story that you have to be in a gym for an hour if it's not beneficial. What do you say to that?
I mean, there's so many responses,
right.
But I mean, you think of the typical kind of person going to the gym and they're in there for 45 minutes and they're kind of like, there's the typical guy is in there like, they lift weights and then they do some weightlifting thing and then they rest for 5 minutes. And then, so, like you're not really getting that much done. And then the typical female goes in there and is on the elliptical machine for 45 minutes, kind of going super slow and reading a book the whole time. So it's just, you're not really getting that much out of your time. Whereas a HIIT workout, you're just like being as efficient as possible. So it's just like bam, bam, bam. You get those exercises in and you're exhausted and sweaty and your muscles are shaking by the end of a super short amount of time.
I love that. And the key word in there is really that they're effective. They're effective. And I love, it's almost like it's quality, not quantity, right? I think
Exactly.
it's that whole mindset. I mean, you can be in the gym for 2 hours, but 2 hours, what are you doing, right? So,
yeah, if you're watching TV or reading a book while you're exercising, you're probably not getting a lot out of it.
Right. And the key phrase that I want to keep going back to, they're effective. They're effective. And I think we have that story that if it's not this amount of time, it's not effective. So guys, it's definitely effective. It works. I mean, you've been doing it for a while, which brings me to my next question. I'm curious. I know your story, but just really quickly, how did you discover HIIT workouts? How did that become such a biggie for you? Like, why are you so into it yourself?
Good question. Well, I was a high school athlete. I played soccer and basketball, and I was never like really into it. I kind of felt like I wasn't super athletic. I was like, okay, it wasn't my dream. So after I left high school, I basically was a couch potato for 3 or 4 years. And I mean, definitely gained the freshman 15 and also just felt like not very confident or great about myself. I was, that time when you just don't know what to do with your life. So that, like, on top of that, having this like low confidence and just feeling like, well, this is the body I was given and it's not athletic. I can't really do anything. I don't like to work out. So I guess I'm destined for the rest of my life to be a couch potato. And that's just kind of how I felt. And then it was like, kind of slowly. I never liked to be a wimp. Like I always kind of like played tough girl. And so I started to just be like, you know what? This is like getting a little bit old. Like I'm tired of being wimpy and not being able to do anything. So I just started trying like a few things. Like honestly, I remember I couldn't do a single push up. And I remember the first time that I tried to do a push up and I did three of the worst possible push ups you've ever seen. But I was like, oh my gosh, I just did three push ups. And that was like huge for me because I could not do a push up. And it kind of went from there. Like I started to get more interested in it, just fitness in general, but I hadn't like found my thing yet. So I was kind of just like going for 3 mile jogs, and I really hated that. And just doing like experimenting with some resistance training. But I ended up moving to Amsterdam and
Nice.
didn't have a work visa for an entire year, which is torture for someone like me. So I had just kind of gotten encouragement to get my personal training certification, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do this. Like I have nothing better to do. Um, so yeah, I got my certification and I started doing some training. So that was my catfish stick. Um, and at that time, I had also moved to New York. And then all of a sudden, I went from like not really doing much to working out for like 2 hours plus a day.
Wow.
And I was doing, the normal like cardio that you just think you're supposed
Hmm.
to do. You're on the treadmill for a half an hour and then like slowly like lifting weights, like, but with no real purpose. And it was like this mindset that it was like it was never enough. But the other part of it was that I was like not getting as strong as I would have liked to. And because I was working out so much, I was so hungry constantly that it was actually harder to stay lean.
Oh, wow.
So it was like this weird cycle where I was just like constantly eating and getting injured because I was obviously overtraining. And again, I just kind of came to this turning point like, I need to figure something else out. Like, this is not working. Um, so I started kind of seeing people doing more like fast paced stuff, and it reminded me of like basketball practice and stuff and like the things that I really liked. I like body weight training. Like I'm always kind of just I don't know. I There's something about like figuring out what you can do with your own body
Mm.
versus like only lifting weights that I just am kind of fascinated by. Um, so yeah, and the other part of it was like I lived in New York and it was winter and it was like 6 feet of snow on the ground and I just didn't want to go anywhere. So I was like, well, what can I do in my own apartment? And just started doing, fast, like super short, mostly body weight hit workouts. And all of a sudden, like I got stronger. I got like it was easy to be leaner. I had more energy. I had more like interest in kind of doing other things, other activities outside of working out. Whereas before, I was just like too exhausted to
Hmm.
do anything else. So it kind of went from there, and I started training my clients that way and got really great results with them. And that's kind of like how 12-Minute Athlete came about.
I mean, so much value there. Just, I just love so much you said there that, and I just will highlight a couple of things. One, it's like, hey, man, I wasn't confident. I was kind of like, I wasn't really doing much. And there's plenty of people I know that, they don't. They're like, I just don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. I don't have the confidence. I don't have the strength. I can't even do one push-up. Woman. And I like that you were there. That was you. So you
Yes.
understand that. And I bring that up because it's awesome that you went from that to where you are now. And another thing I really love is the fact that, like you said, hey, sometimes I'm just exhausted, man. If I've had a long day, I can't. I don't want to do like an hour. I don't even have it in me to do an hour. But come on, I got 15 minutes, and again,
Right.
there can be 6 feet of snow outside. You can get it done. Is the
Yeah.
biggie? I'm gonna keep focusing on that because it's so important. And it's not. And it's usually tough. It's usually hard to believe that. Like it's usually gimmicky when you think, oh wait a minute, effective but in short time. This is actually legit. Like
It is.
right? It's like legit, like science shows it. It's like legitimately 15 minutes. You can like you said, as little as 4 minutes. But thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Just to see kind of how you evolved and where you are today.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So from a fitness level, I know you said on your website, hey man, this is for all fitness levels. Can all fitness levels benefit? Is there anyone that this wouldn't benefit depending on fitness level? What's up with that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I like to say everyone can do it, but the truth is, like, if you're completely new to exercising, you probably shouldn't start out with a HIIT workout. Like, if you are just the person who hasn't done any form of movement for, 5 to 10 years,
Oh yeah,
I would start out with, like, go on some walks. Like,
right.
get used to doing something, take some bike rides, go on a light hike, like just get your body used to moving. Because if you go from absolute zero to like all out, you're probably going to get injured.
Sure.
So that's just something to keep in mind. If you're kind of a casual exerciser that, you already go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week, you just don't really totally know what you're doing, then like HIIT workouts are absolutely perfect. Or for any kind of athlete looking to get like better conditioning, better shape for their sport, um, they're awesome. The other thing to keep in mind though, if you do have like knee issues, joint
Mm,
issues, stuff like that, most HIIT workouts, definitely the ones that I do, involve a lot of jumping. So yes, you can modify stuff, and that's absolutely fine. Like, please, if you're a beginner and you can't do a push-up, you can do like a elevated push-up or a push-up on your knees, stuff like that. So don't be intimidated by the exercises, but don't hurt yourself too. Like, be smart about it. If you know you're not supposed to jump, then don't jump. Like, change a
sure.
jump squat into just a basic air squat and you'll be fine.
Well, that's the cool thing. It's like, so what you're telling me and what I'm hearing is the exercise is 15 minutes, but it's still versatile. Look, you can scale it based on, look, whether this is too much for you, whether injury wise, or whether you're just older and it's just not good on your joints. You can still do it. You just kind of modify it to fit your needs, but you can still get the benefit from that time frame, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
Definitely, yes.
That's awesome. Awesome. Let me ask you, because I mean, I know I've seen you. I see what you've got some awesome strength. Like, we see you on rings and you do dips and you do a lot of plyometrics and your workout's pretty intense. I'm just curious, what does your workout look like on a weekly basis? How many times per week? What's that look like for you? What's your schedule?
When I'm at home, I work out 6 days a week,
Six
like
days.
without fail, because I just kind of have to. It's like such a mental thing for me now. But I always make sure to take one rest day, because otherwise, yeah, I will get overtrained and injured, and that's just my body's response to doing too much. But I'll do HIIT workouts like 4 or 5 days a week. And it's just kind of like my staple. It's what keeps me like conditioned. And, so if I'm trying something else, like I'm not just breathing so heavy, I can't do it anymore. Like if I'm trying a new sport, it keeps my strength up. It's just like, it's my baseline of what I do. And then I have recently, like in the last couple of years, I always try to do something to challenge myself, like try a new sport. Like for a while, I was boxing. I did Krav Maga for a while. In the last couple of years, I've just fallen in love with like body weight training and gymnastics. So I've actually been going to like some gymnastics classes and like learning handstands. So yes, I spend more time working out on those things, but for me, those things are play. Like it's so fun for me to work on that. I don't even consider it a workout. It's like it's just so fun.
Love that.
So yeah, I mean I'll work on my handstands like almost every day. Just because it was like such a huge goal for me to be able to do one. And but yeah, I definitely like always do the HIIT workouts. If I like cut back on them a little bit, I notice it so
Mm.
much. And then when I travel, I mean, I do HIIT every day just because it's like the quickest thing. And who wants to spend like a ton of time working out on like vacations? So yeah.
Which brings me to my next question, and it's almost like it's. I think I know the answer already because I was going to say, how do you handle like exercising regularly? Because you travel, you travel extensively or a fair amount, and I was going to ask, how do you maintain, how do you keep up with your 6 days a week is a lot. But good for you for taking one off. They say, what do they say? Even the big man upstairs took one day off to rest, right, on day 7.
You have
So
to.
you got it
Rest is
right.
important. I
It's
mean,
absolutely.
yeah, one
Uh,
to two is good for you.
1 to 2 days of rest, and then how do you like the way you handle it is like, well, I can do it anywhere, right? I mean, you don't need anything, but I mean, if you use what you have, like I've seen you use, and you tell me what else you've used. I've seen you use stairs, chairs, edges of like I'm not sure if it's a building or like a walkway, right? I mean, you use
Yeah.
literally whatever you have at your disposal.
Yeah, well, like when I used to travel and stuff, I used to have no idea how to work out, and so I would just kind of not do anything. But I've learned, first of all, any sort of travel or if you're super busy, getting it over with first thing in the morning is
Mm,
for almost anyone I've ever talked to, it's so key. So if I'm traveling, I just like get up, grab a little bite to eat, and just go work out and get it over with. Because if I try to do it later in the day, it's so much harder. So yeah,
morning.
first thing in the morning, key. But then what I like to do, like when I'm anywhere new traveling, is I kind of like when I get there, I kind of scout out the area. So I'll like see if there's a park or if the place I'm staying, has a patio or a roof deck is like the most fun. Something like that. I'm at my parents' house, I work on their driveway, stuff like that. So I kind of will scout out the area and then kind of see like what fun things could I add into the workout? And it's not that you need equipment at all, but it helps to mix it up. So
Sure.
it's like if you don't have anything ever, it can get a little monotonous. So yeah, I like to find, benches, stairs. Yeah, little corners of like railings or something are perfect for dips and like leg raises,
Sure.
stuff like that. I also tend to bring a jump rope with me everywhere, just so it's so easy. Um, but yeah, I have a lot of fun with it these days, and I also don't even mind the crazy looks anymore.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, I've seen like I highly encourage people to follow you. Like for example, if they're stuck, like, well, I don't know, I'm not that in tune to figuring out what to do with what I have. I encourage people to follow you on Instagram and even I'll let and Facebook. I'll even let at the end you can ask where I'll let you tell people where they can find you, but just to follow you because just some of the stuff I see you do and like it's like, oh, I would have never thought of that. It's just really cool. You take something that someone would say, hey, there's no way, I have nothing to work with, and you seem to have everything to work with. So I'm going to encourage people to follow you, and at the end, I would love for you to share how they can do that. I'm
Yeah.
curious, because 6 days a week, that's no joke. That's serious stuff. What motivates you? Like, what motivates you 6 days a week? What's your motivating force?
It's changed and evolved over the years. When I was first working out, like a lot of it was for appearance, and I think that's where a lot of people start. That's like pretty much completely gone, and now I mean, the main thing is it's like my therapy. And it's like the one time of the day where, if I'm super stressed or busy or whatever, I can just kind of like get in the zone and not think about things. And it helps so much. Like when I can't work out, for whatever reason, because I'm like on an airplane all day or whatever, I'm like, I get really antsy. I get kind of like anxious. And just getting some good exercise in, it's really changed a lot for me. Like it makes me less stressed. It
Mm-hmm.
makes me be able to focus on my work. Um, Makes me just be able, it like helps me deal with life. So that took me a long time to figure out though. Because yeah, I didn't always I can see looking back that I've always had that, but I didn't know that it existed. So I didn't know how to deal with stress, um, when I was younger.
Sure.
And it really makes a difference. So that's probably my biggest motivator. The other thing is like I love like working on skills these days.
Mhm.
So like I said, like handstands or whatever it is. I'm in gymnastics. I've been trying to do handsprings, like back handsprings, front
Awesome.
handsprings. Um, so that's just a self-driven thing. Like I just
Sure.
want to be able to do it so bad that it's not hard for me to work on that kind of stuff.
That's
That's
awesome.
yeah.
No, that's really cool. I just like because everyone's just driven and motivated by their thing, and that's cool to hear what yours is. And I'm the same way. It changes obviously as you go. At least I know for me it has, and it seems like it has for you. I'm actually curious. You say, hey, it benefits me in these ways, and stress was one of them. You run the 12-minute athlete. You have a lot going on. There's even an app you put together, which again I encourage people to go to your site. There's an awesome 12-minute athlete app. I'm curious, how do you feel? Do you feel, and if so, how do you feel your consistency to exercise has contributed to the success of 12-minute athlete, or has it? And if so, how? I'm curious if you can correlate those two.
I definitely think it has because before I kind of started exercising regularly and kind of challenging myself, like I mentioned earlier, I wasn't very confident.
Mm,
I didn't really believe I could do things. I kind of had this like story in my head, like, well, you're not natural at this, one thing, whether it's like business or whatever it was that I wanted to do at the time. So I guess don't even try. And that was like the story that I made up in my head. And so actually like being able to do more things in fitness, when I like was able to do a pull up finally, like that was like a huge milestone for me. Um, and that confidence really translated to other areas. So I've seen that with a lot of people is like when you're able to accomplish some sort of goal in fitness, in health, all of a sudden you like build this confidence like, oh wow, I did that thing that I thought was impossible. I guess I could do other things that
mm,
I think like are
love
really
that.
hard to do. So it's made a huge difference for me and that's why I like always try to learn new things and keep challenging myself because when I'm excited about my fitness, it makes me excited about my business too. And it also like helps me relate to people. Like, yeah, if they can't do a push up now, I'm like, well, I know how that is. Like, you just have to work at it. So I think it's helped so much.
I love
Yeah.
that line right there. That when I'm excited about my fitness, I'm excited about my business. I mean, that's pretty cool, and it makes sense, like you said, and how the confidence, how it gives you the confidence, and how that translates into business. And I just love that line. I'm thinking I'm going to use that for myself.
Good.
Excited about my fitness, and can't help but be excited about my business. That's super cool. I'm curious, what's if you don't mind sharing, what was your number one goal, health or fitness goal for this year, and any thoughts of what it'll be for 2017, or does that constantly change? What's the scoop?
Um, it always changes. I mean, like I said, like I've been very focused on like building kind of calisthenics body weight skills, including like gymnastics. So I've been very focused on handstands,
Yeah.
as I said. I feel like they've gotten a lot better, but I've been really struggling with the handstand press. Anyone who like knows
Tough.
gymnastics at all will know what it is. If you don't know gymnastics, it's like a way to get into a handstand that, gymnasts make look really easy, but for the non-gymnast is like it's just it's strength, flexibility, but the thing I struggle with is coordination. So I'm still working on that. I've been this year, yeah, working on front and back handsprings, and I'm getting like really close. I've done a bunch of front handsprings now on my like without a spotter, which is so exciting. And back handsprings, I'm really close. So I'm just kind of focused on things that excite me. Yeah, cool skills. Like I've been working on building strength for human flag, which again, if you don't know what it is, it's like basically you're holding like a pole and then you're horizontal to the ground. So it's hard.
Yeah, you think? Yeah, yeah,
But it's
yeah.
just something that it's like one of those things that when I first saw it, I'm like, that's impossible. Like, there's no way. But I want to do it. I want to do what I think is impossible. So
I
I'll
love
probably be
that.
building on those goals as well as, other kind of fun related things next year. I
Sure,
think it'd be fun to do some sort of like obstacle race. I've never done one. It seems kind of like natural
sure.
for the stuff I do. So yeah, maybe I'll try to do one of those next year.
You'd crush that, by the way. That's just my 2 cents. You'd absolutely crush that obstacle course. Um, one more question, if you don't mind, and it's going to be, and maybe you don't struggle with this, but if you do, I'm curious, what you do to battle it, and if you don't struggle with it, what you can suggest others to utilize. Like we get off track sometimes, whether it's through travel, whether it's whatever. This life takes over, and you
Sure.
kind of get off track, right? So whether this happens to you or whether you have advice for others, um, what do you do? Like, what's your best strategy to get back on track when you've just kind of been off? To stay disciplined, focused, and committed to your goals, especially with New Year coming up. We're gonna all have our goals. What's your best advice to kind of stay focused, committed, disciplined, and if you get off track, how to get back on? Just curious.
I think there are a couple of main things. One, it's same thing with diets, is like people kind of will beat themselves up for not eating well or not working out. Like I talked to a guy yesterday that was like, from January to April, I was working out like 2 hours a day and I was doing so good, but I got busy and so now I can't get into it again. I'm just thinking, I'm like, it's not too late, it's never too late to get back into it. So you don't have to beat yourself up about it. You just, make commitment to go to the gym or to the park tomorrow and work out. So it's, you know, think of it as a lifestyle. It's not this short term thing where, yeah, you have to work out for 2 hours a day. We've already
Right.
mentioned that that's not the greatest approach usually. So it's not all or nothing. Like, yeah, if you take a couple weeks off because of life, it's not the end of the world. Just get back into it. Like,
Love that.
go do something, even if it's like a half workout just to get started. If it's like too much for you to think of doing 12 minutes, then go do 6 minutes. Go do, like, honestly, start with some push ups in the morning, like, just to kind of ease back into it if you're really feeling intimidated. But just start again. It's never too late. Like, I know plenty of 60, 70-year olds working out, playing sports, all this stuff. It's like age isn't an excuse. Like, not there's no real excuse. So just do something, and yeah, no, it's like a lifestyle.
Absolutely.
The other key thing that I tell people is to have some goals that excite you. I
Mm,
think the worst thing that you can do is work out for looks only. I think it's so unmotivating. Partly because it's often like a slow process. You're not just gonna
sure.
build the body of your dreams in a month if you haven't worked out for 5 years. So what I prefer is when people have some sort of fitness goal. So, a lot of people have the goal of like running a half marathon, which is great. It's fine if you like to run. Like, I totally encourage that. It's a very empowering thing. Personally, I don't like to run, so that's never been my goal. But like, yeah, find something that you're like, oh, I've always wanted to do that. Whether it's like learn martial arts, go to a boxing class, like rock climb, like just something that kind of excites you. It's going to make you so much more excited about working out. And the thing about that is it's kind of like it feeds each other. So if you find some sort of like sport or goal that you're interested in, all of a sudden you're going to notice that your workouts help that. So you're going to
Mm,
be more inclined to want to do your HIIT workouts to keep getting stronger and in better conditioning shape for that activity or sport that you learn to love. I've seen a lot of people kind of like discover things that they really like and just, think outside the box. Just think of things that excited you as a kid
love that.
and go try them, even if you've never done them. Like, I took my first gymnastics class, I was like 27.
Wow.
So it's like you can, and I mean, I've worked out with plenty of, people who are in their mid 40s who have never done anything before, and
Sure.
all of a sudden they're doing all these cool things. So just, yeah, it's never too late. Find some cool goals that excite you, and you'll have fun with it.
I like that a lot. Three biggies. Set exciting goals. Love that. Goals that excite you, not goals you think you should set. Goals that excite you. Do something versus nothing. I always say some is better than none.
For sure.
Yeah, do something. I love that. Do something. And then one thing I like that you said, I like a lot is, hey, don't focus on the fact that you're off track. Focus on getting back on track, because if you're focused on that you're off track, you're probably going to stay off track.
Yeah,
So focus on
it's
getting
so
back on track.
true.
I love that. Love that. Love that. Big time. Krista, this has been absolutely awesome. I honestly big time value here, and I appreciate your time. How can people find out more about you, about 12-Minute Athlete, what you're up to, the 12-Minute app, 12-Minute Athlete app? Where can they find all that?
It's pretty easy. Everything's just 12-Minute Athlete. So 12minuteathlete.com. Twitter, Instagram, everything is at 12-Minute Athlete. And then if you just search for 12-Minute Athlete in the Google Play Store and iTunes Store, you'll find it. You'll find the app.
That's perfect.
So, yeah.
Thank you so much. And
Yeah, of
like I
course.
said, I encourage the community to definitely, check out Krista's work. It's awesome. The excuse of not having no more, not having time, that isn't an excuse anymore. 4
No,
minutes to 15, you can get it done. Let's get it done, guys. Healthy mind, healthy body, healthy business. Krista, thank you so much for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure and an honor. So thank you.
thanks for having me.
Thank you. Cheers.